Galeati, come stai?
Ciao! Ma
Ciao,
you're great! Ciao!
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Io sto finendo la mia colazione.
Bravo, una bella brioche.
Qui sono le 7:30 del mattino. Ma ti vedo in straordinaria forma, Paolo. Sono felice.
Grazie Michelangelo, grazie.
Grazie a te, grazie a te. Senti, bene, ma non c'è... Io ieri insegnavo tutto il giorno, quindi per me era impossibile esserci perché dovevo rimandare tutti i gruppi, quindi... Ok.
No,
bene.
non importa. È stato
Bene.
molto bello ieri.
Lo so, infatti mi ha detto Raffaele che devo vedermi la videoregistrazione, assolutamente. Fate l'upload?
Are we going to upload the recording of yesterday somewhere?
We can upload it on YouTube.
Sì, probabilmente lo metteranno su YouTube.
Ok, grazie.
Because Michelangelo would like to see it.
Okay. We can upload it on YouTube and share the link with all the partners.
Ok.
Thank you very much. Ok.
Ok, bello.
Bak aldıklarıma.
Anche
Omega,
Giuseppe c'è.
C
Ciao
vitamini,
Giuseppe.
ondan sonra B vitamini, coenzim. Bir şeyler var. Şekerler.
Per un minuto.
Paolo, how many are we this morning?
Per adesso 9. Would be nice to know.
Ciao Raffaele.
Eccolo.
Ciao Raffaele.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
He cannot hear us, I think. So it's Peter here. I think Peter wanted to do his...
Hi, ciao.
Ciao. Hi, Peter. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry
How
I missed
are you?
yesterday. I'm fine.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
How was the flight yesterday?
It was dramatic. I was running in between. Yeah, it was cancelled and then it's
no.
North Sweden, but I got in the end.
Good.
Again.
So I made you a co-host. If you would like to show your presentation, we can start with yours if you like.
Yes, that would be nice. Yeah, I was going to tell you some projects that we've done in
Great.
Malmö.
Fantastic.
And what I saw from the presentation, it was very interesting, and the Musense project immediately drew a great attention in Lund University. And what we realized that so many things were going already on with digitalization, but were kind of separate and not connected, and everybody did some things. But so Musense made also the role of Musense became that, you know, people united, and they saw the potential of the Musense project to make the separate initiatives into one more coordinated action.
Great.
What is also interesting, I think, is with Malmö Musikhögskola, and we, as you know, I am a Baroque nerd, historical performance practice. So for us, technology should be very something, you know, the science fiction, and we want to do the original instruments, the exact strings as they used in 1700s. So for me, this is such a exciting project to connect the historical performance practice with the newest technology, and kind of challenge both how we do the historical performance practice, that we don't go just back and reconstruct something, but make it as a relevant musical expression today. At the same time, I would like to challenge the technology, that it doesn't just influence the music performance into something abstract and you know, electronic and out of the human communication. So how it can still serve even this old-fashioned classical music, and very, very old-fashioned in my case then. It was so, it's maybe even symbolic that when Raffaele called me that the project was accepted, I was doing a project, it was summer 21. I was just doing the project in Confidensen Theatre in Stockholm, which is a very old Rococo theatre with the old settings. It's like mini Drottningholm. And we were doing, you know, this old opera, and it was in the middle of pandemic, so it was restricted with only cameras around and no audience. And Raffaele said we got the funding, and we are going to do this project with digitalization. At that time I was so fed up with all the digitalization, all the online. I was missing the audience, so I said, okay, I was kind of skeptical that I don't think this. I just want to stop doing this kind of concerts. Eventually, I realized this is not going away. We have to embrace it and find a way how to cope with it and embrace the technology even in the old theaters like that. So that the Confidensen Theatre will continue through. I became actually artistic director of that festival from next summer, and it also shows the journey from 2019, when there were no restriction before pandemic. I maybe just show you some slides from the projects to share. So the Confidensen Theatre in 2019, we've done Ecce Galatea with normal historical performance, everything as it should be. The Baroque Police was very happy, and we recorded on TV. TV was just, you know, in background. They shouldn't disturb, because the audience there in the moment was most important. The recording was not very interesting. It was people who missed the performance in the theatre missed most magic of it. 2020, the festival was kind of going to be cancelled, but then we did an arrangement with a smaller scale, but only online. So then when technology decided that they had to have access to the singers, to close, they were on the stage, they were, you know, the whole, if you look at from outside, Baroque Police was not happy at all. What are these monstrous cameras doing in the middle of the Baroque gestures and sets? Then in 2021, when Rafael told me about the project, funding was accepted and we were part of the project, that was a combined situation because there was audience again, but the lesson we learned from technology, because this recording was so successful that the TV the production, suddenly the theatre realized, and even Baroque Police realized, that this is very important to incorporate and be up to date, that it's not just for Baroque nerds, but we actually have to open. So this was an incredible lesson in this combination. So when we did this, then we did Dido Aeneas in Confidenzen, that was cameras still on the stage and up outside, and it was a completely different recording, the output on the. So we learned the lessons and we embraced the technology. So during these years that changed a lot. So it's not only how technology developed, but also our performance, way of communicating was changed. You see, this is the old theater with all the manual settings. There are people who have actually moved the sets going downstairs. There is a balcony you could go down with everything is moved with the hands. At Musikhochschule Malmö, we done, it was in 2022 in the beginning, straight after the project started. There was a third wave of pandemic, so we started this project in January, February, rehearsing, not knowing if the performance in March will be online or live. So Sarah Villen was the stage director, I was musical director, and we have guests choreographed from Prague. We had a coach, singing coach from Denmark. So there was many international, but problem was the restrictions. People got sick at some point during January, February. So we were ready to rehearse on Zoom or online. So this was combination we had to incorporate and communicate. At some point, even the choreograph and Sarah was at home directing people in the room from screen. Sarah had to calculate the stage, not knowing if it would be to the people in the audience or it will be people. The singers have to act towards the cameras and make that work. So all this, again, lesson in combining digital technology with the performance, also in the process of rehearsal and as output. In the end, the restriction lifted and we had a combined performance with recorded results. And then this we used follow-up sessions, and we have started to have a surveys with the singers, those who were home, those how finding the way how they experienced what the technology. So we have a lot of follow-up data of this project. This is from the performance. The other project in November second case study, we already started to, we mentioned in Palermo, the Lund University and Malmo is very interested and has already purchased the system Lola, which is still in packages in Malmo, because we realized that the teachers immediately had questions, when can we use it? And I set up the project in November to use Lola technology. It is a Baroque dance project, which I thought was a perfect challenge for online communication, music communication between musician and dancer, where the physical impulse is so important. Can the connection and interaction in the room, physical interaction, be also transformed through Lola? Because we know that of course the latency problem is not anymore there. The audio and video signal is coordinated, but how about the physicality of the connection between dancer and musician? So I contacted the Oslo Opera Academy and Copenhagen, and we were planning towards this project. We had a Baroque dancer expert from Paris, Karin Moody. Normally it's a musician, singer, so it's not professional dancer, so she gives the Baroque dance coaching for the musician. It's very basic steps and then more advanced. So we had 2-3 days projects like that, coaching. My idea was then to have students who would dance also in Oslo and in Copenhagen, and Karin would coach through the screen. People would then play from Oslo and we would try to dance in, we call this project Dancing Lola, or Make Lola Dance. Unfortunately, the Lola is still in package in Malmo, because what we realized also in Oslo, when they unpacked it and they already installed it, we had a problem with the internet security. The contact with Tallinn and Riga, where they already do the projects, we were like first very ashamed that we didn't make it work and they are ahead. What it shows that it actually could be case that they don't have such a strict internet security, so they could just start to use Lola. So this happened. The problem was that we couldn't use the Lola yet. So what we used the project, we scaled a little down. We had still different cities connected, but still on Zoom. But I used this project for making a model, how then next in spring, when Lola will work, how to make a research project where testing the Lola, people in the different rooms, then changing back to the live room, the dancers, so people will experience both the coaching in the room live and online with the same instruction, and then using the data. So this was from the November project with the dancer and musicians. People were in a different rooms and observing the project and dancing with Karin in the same room. So these were the projects I wanted to show you. And this will be continuing in the future. We will use the knowledge from the Zoom technology into next stage with Lola. And thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Sorry, Peter, may I ask you, Who is this Baroque police?
You know, because I studied I look maybe young, and I studied a long time ago my Baroque violin, and at that time there were two, you know, divided, the modern department. I couldn't say to my modern teacher that I play Baroque violin, because that time was so dogmatic, how there were a lot of rules what one shouldn't do, because historical performance practice, because it was so clear how they performed it then. And if you do the wrong trill from a bow, in early Italian music, trill from a bow is forbidden. The opposite, trill in Bach and French music should be from a bow note, not the main note. You know, you could go to Baroque prison. But nowadays, the knowledge is not the aim. You know, that's why, you know, old times I call them Baroque police. Today is because we were teaching the kids already the performance practice, so they kind of embody it and translate it into musical terms. Because I mean, all the rules, of course, came later. They were kind of described what the musicians did spontaneously. So it must be, yeah. It's now no wall between departments. Now I teach the modern students as well as Baroque, and so good times now. No police around.
Peter, may I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for this Baroque police. It's very funny. I have two very simple questions. The first is if you can repeat the name of the theater in Stockholm.
It's called Confidensen.
Ah.
I can put it on the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. The second question is about Lola, because we also purchased the system. We got this GAR equipment, but we experienced a lot of problems. So because you need to have dedicated cameras, you cannot just purchase the best camera in the shop because it has latency and so on. So we ended with this horrible black and white camera, which has very low definition, but the low latency. So I don't know if you finally managed to have one good connection, because we didn't manage it. I was just curious.
No, we are still in the stadium that the technical department is reaching out to people who installed it in other places. They see exactly this problem, so it's before they actually even install it, because in Norway they installed, but it didn't work yet.
Yes.
So we were in touch.
Also, Lola has been tried in certain type of music, for instance, in some of kind of jam session in jazz, but this way covers generally the latency. You don't need a very precise latency. It's like, for instance, doing Clementi sonata with, I don't know, piano from I don't know, Roma, and violin from Paris. So it's tricky, because you have to work a lot, and still we have latency, and so you cannot use them for certain type of music.
Yeah, but you know, this is so interesting, because the latency is not only digital problem, because when we do Baroque music, sometimes with the San Marco in Venice, they have two choirs far away. You know, there is when the, you know, so that's also, we have to find a way in live situations how to work with. So for me, I'm not looking for the technology which will be perfect in the fantastic, perfect concert hall with a good size and everything is clear. It can be different. Yeah, it's I
very
want
true, Peter. Very true. Yeah. Oh, we experienced this problem with big orchestras and choirs, because the distance is so far. Sorry for these big points, folks. So go ahead.
Can start if you like.
What?
We can start. I don't know.
Yeah, so because Peter is finished,
Yes. Can I just, sorry, I will leave for a second and join on the telephone because I will be on the train watching the rest of the, I know, the Christmas time with Baroque musicians. But I am on my way somewhere, so I will be with you on my phone. So
Okay.
let me in, please.
okay.
See you soon.
No, I was just going to say because Peter is finished, we were going to start the roundtable discussion, and I thought the most useful thing would be comments on yesterday, suggestions on the various presentations. I thought that Nuno's presentation and Yanni's presentation, the repository were really fantastic. Both of them were really fantastic. And I don't know what everybody thought about all the different things that were presented.
Oh, you see.
If I can jump in, so I would like to highlight that the dimension of the project is in a way it's visionary saying the mood, because of course in the project we don't have so much amount of money just to produce something more new at the technological level. Of course, we have to use the available technology in the world. But I think the most difficult part also yesterday came up from the discussion with the guy from Orpheus Institute is to understand the real nature of the project. It's a real research-based project in the sense that nobody knows what will be the future in this field, the cyber transfer of classical music in the future, in the next 20 years. It's my opinion that the scenario will totally be changed by the new technology. Of course, there is a discussion, a big discussion even among the student fellows on virtual Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, about what will be the future. Some of them, of course, think that the robotic approach will be prevalent, much more than metaverse or the second life in the digital dimension, because of the technology, of course, the possibility of technology. And this will impact tremendously also on classical music. Yesterday from Palermo presentation, very nice, very interesting presentation from Fabio about the possible interaction between a robot and a human people. There are some examples also from all over the world. Also, Michelangelo can say something. He experienced it in Berlin at the Philharmonic, a nice concert. I was there blending human people with the orchestra and the soloist and the theatronic. A very nice, smart robot at the time. It was pioneering experience. But I stress that the much more difficulty in our project is to think different about the possible future, because we can just outline some model for the future. And as I said during the presentation, my short presentation yesterday, the much more difficult thing when you are living in a new paradigm is to define some benchmarks, some point of reference, to design, to conceive the future. This is the real challenge of the project. Sometimes when I speak with some colleagues, it's difficult to catch, also to grab the real core of the project because of that. Because we are moving, we are acting in a new paradigm. And we are not point of reference, of course. There are some examples, Lola, other things that, in my opinion, are still in the video call. at the time, even if the technological progress is quite outstanding. But now we are in the prehistoric moment of the evolution. So it seems now that the robotic will be present on the digital dimension. So this is my reflection.
Raffaele, I just jump in to say, for me, the most difficult thing in this approach is that you have to rely on technological expertise from other departments. So ideas come not only from the artistic part, but they need to come also from, let's say, the technological part. And this for me is very annoying, because I always have to go to the technology department, to some colleagues, and ask for ideas, ask for support. And this is the most difficult part, not only for the practical things, but also because I cannot make ideas, projects, artistic dreams come from myself. Let's say I can imagine cameras on the stage, I can imagine things, but I do not have the necessary expertise to make them concrete. So I need to ask them and to depend on this kind of experience. That's what occurred in Philharmonie Berlin. I had this experience some years ago. Theotronic is a robot developed by a friend of mine who is playing like he's a Yamaha robot. He's playing the piano and is physically playing the piano. Okay. It was not the robot itself playing, but it was ordered to play from a keyboard who was put outside the stage. So was conducting live an orchestra with a soloist, a robotic soloist on the stage, and a remote real player in the distance. Obviously, I had a lot of problem. I had a lot of distance and let's say connection problem. And this was very difficult to manage, but it was a very, very fun experience. I have a YouTube recording of this, so I can also give it to you in order to upload it in your repository.
Yes, Michelangelo, because I repeat, for our imagination as artists, musicians, creators, it's easier. The imagination is go faster than the technological possibility. That's why when I speak with scientists, expert in artificial intelligence, metaverse, internet of things like that. So Raffaele, your imagination is too fast, because you have to adapt it to the real possibility of the technology nowadays. This is the problem. So we can imagine a nice future, a smart future, totally immersed in the new dimension cyber, but when we have to face the real technological possibility, things change a lot. So we depend on double level from technology. Of course, the technological aspect is crucial for even for the cyber and the distance performance, but also there are huge limitations for them, also the physical and the technological level. That's why it's also much more complex to decide our future in the cyber dimension for future artists and young creators in the future.
I just wanted to inform all the project members that because of the ideas that were floated out in the project description itself, Yasin and I got together, and next semester, it's a humble start because we can't deal with all of the things that are in a performance. But what we are actually going to do is I'm going to design a semester-long solfege course, which is going to be full immersion virtual reality course. And we're trying to figure out, he's actually come and already taken the measurements and everything, and we're actually going to do it in the studio. I'm going to have all my students come to the studio, and we're all going to do everybody's going to have avatar, Oculus, all of that kind of stuff. And at some point, if we manage to get the whole thing together, I think we will, before this project ends. I would like to actually show it as a contribution, even though it's not strictly of the project. What can actually be done, because Yashar has really pretty incredible infrastructure, and what Michelangelo was saying about cooperating with technical people, yeah, a lot of the times you have to try and explain things to them so that they understand them, because a lot of the times they have no idea what you're talking about in terms of artistic stuff. There's not very much of it in solfege, in the solfege course, but there are nevertheless musical things that have to be dealt with, of which they have no knowledge. And I think that's actually incumbent upon us as on the artistic side of it, to just, share all of these things, because at least in my case, our department is very, very willing to do and to cooperate to create new things like this. So I think you will, before the end of next semester, which is like May or June of next semester, you will probably have inspired a full immersion virtual reality course in solfege. Anyway, it's a humble beginning, but it's a start.
Paolo, can you explain practically how did you manage to create an avatar? Did you use meta service or whatever?
As I understand it, our studio, they use readily available open source technology, so that they never have any problems, because then they can modify them and they can. I have no idea how this is going to work out, but there is apparently that in my research, I came across so much stuff. I was very surprised. There's not much written about the material, but there is an enormous amount of material out there. It's just that it's not evaluated. Things are happening so quickly. It's like I said yesterday. I said, I think by the time I finish making this little database of ours, the information will have already been surpassed, because I just see things continuously being done now that I started to follow them and that I started to try to discover what they are. I'm shocked at how quickly everything is going. We think about things in the future, and you think there are things in the future, and they've already happened. Because all of this, what we are talking about, especially in terms of the different kinds of augmented reality, virtual reality, has actually been in the making since the early 1990s. What you are seeing now is the final products of what was designed 30 years ago. So now, as we go further, the technology is getting faster and faster, because at the beginning of the 2000s and into the 2010s, there is just a a logarithmic acceleration of all of these things. The only problem that I find when I'm doing my research is that there is no cohesion of any kind, because everybody's trying to develop their own thing. You know, it's like the race with computers. There's Microsoft doing one thing, Apple doing another, Linux doing another, this one doing another. So they're not coordinated in any way, but things are happening all the time, every day, 24 hours a day. It's just nonstop. Yasin was telling me that the developments that he comes across in his specific stuff, which is mainly virtual reality education, the virtual reality used for education, he says he sees developments pretty much on a weekly basis. And that's kind of difficult to, you know, comprehend, but that's what's happening. So I can imagine that for the music industry, the concerned parties, especially the big players who want to make an enormous amount of money, are actually dedicating enormous amounts of money to research and development right now. Which means, do you remember, what was it called? CG or something like that, where they started to have computer Pixar, for example, that started doing computer generated film material. Within 10 years, you couldn't really tell the difference anymore between what was real and what was not. And that was slow compared to what's happening now. So when you look at the avatars right now, the avatars available today, I mean, I had that avatar in my little presentation, and it's not fully functional. But if we're talking about the space of really, I don't know, 6 months, where you have the very basic and rudimentary avatars that are used for virtual reality concerts by big names. They're not great avatars. They're still very basic. And then you take a look at that one, and you really cannot tell the difference between what's being computer generated and a person. I mean, it looks like a person. So I think these developments are coming really thick and fast. And the combination of robotics and VR is frightening. It's just incredible. When VR is applied to robotics, wow, it'll be unreal. I can just imagine. But I'm just starting with solfege. I'm not there.
Yes, that I don't want to be provocative, but what I find still at the moment that even within the new technology paradigm, for instance, I find that the philosophical, theoretical approach is traditional one. So thinking still with the old categories, old theoretical categories, trying to translate in the digital dimension what happened in the analogical world. And this is the real challenge, or even for the project. When we imagine the project, we imagine a totally new future. We want to set boldly go whenever nobody has gone before, but almost like that. So the difficulty is to change the way of approaching this. Maybe the new possibility of a cyber performance need a new mankind. So a new type of human person approaching this. The hope is in the new generation, the millennium, digital, the native digital. So, because what I found at the moment that there is the effort to translate into the digital dimension what happens in the analogic and the physical realities. And in my opinion, this could not work perfectly. The second aspect is that there is an element totally underrepresented at the moment in our discussion, and this is the role of the audience, which is the real role of the active co-creative role of the audience. At the moment, we are imagining the audience like a passive reception of our creation, our thoughts, or our universe. So they are there, supposed to listen, see, to enjoy our creation. But in my opinion, also in the future, maybe right now, the audience has another role, much more creative than in the past. The relation in the theater, in the physical theater between audience and the performance will totally, radically change in the next future. If not, the risk for the classical music, for instance, is to lose all generation of young audiences. There are also some projects trying to capture, to define a new role for the audience, even the opera. Many projects you find. But this is a great risk, just to lose definitely a new generation of audience for the classical.
Yesterday, I thought to the audience, I changed my point of view, and I think that there's something difficult about the predictivity of audio protocol, because many multi-audio, multi-channel protocol now are dead, like 5.1 home theater or ambisonics. But if we read iPhone or iPad features, we can read today Dolby Atmos ready. This is a new protocol, maybe not very new, but I think it could be a protocol for audience to listen to music through headphones, because it can represent the space of a theater or any hall, a church. It's difficult because we don't have any predictivity about the development of this kind of change of this kind of way of listen to music. But I think everyone should have the point of view of the audience, how the audience will listen to the music. Headphones, speakers, iPhone or iPad. Now I think there's a little revolution with the new protocol that is Dolby Atmos. Many cinema now have a new systems for listen to music system, the sound effects. I think it could be an subject for our research.
Yes, thank you, Giuseppe. Even try to define a new role, a new action for the audience. There is some example, I think, still a small example. For instance, Fabio, we were talking with Fabio about the narrative crossroads, when the audience can intervene on the plot scheme and can decide, for instance, the final version of one plot or another. Fabio, could you tell us something about some experience that you had in the opera about the narrative cross, i bivi narrativi that you experienced with a colleague from Academy for Fine Art in Palermo, if I will remember. So. I remember also there was a robot for
We can't remember anything.
When during our first discussion, preparatory discussion, the project were a project with the Academy of Fine Art. I remember that we were talking about the new possibilities for the audience to be protagonists in the show.
Nello spettacolo l'Accademia.
Yeah.
So hi, I wanted to ask
Okay.
Nuno is here today. Welcome. Yesterday we really enjoyed your presentation. It was very interesting. So I just thought, since you're here, if anybody wanted to ask anything, or if Nuno wanted to comment on it, since we are all here.
Good morning, Payam. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Sorry again that I wasn't able to join you yesterday. I hope anyway the video presentation compensated somewhat for that.
Sure.
Yes, this is a very difficult, of course, field to research, as Paolo was indicating. And what I tried in this video presentation also was just to compile some case studies, let's say, of different tendencies that I could observe and that are being already, well known, because they are part of these prizes, these events. So they are being performed, etc. So different kinds of trajectories that have to, big importance is of course the technological side of it, but which use this technology to, for the purpose of the artistic creation. And this for me seemed important because it's often seems to me that we are tackling this from the point of view of the technology, and not from the artistic point of view of the music performance, of music composition or something like that, which I think then makes the conversation a little bit more complex and more abstract maybe. And just by researching these case studies of, different artistic productions, compositions, also sound art and installations, and so that go out of the traditional, let's say, recital, I found a lot of inspiring ideas. Of course, these are not maybe let's say, what we were talking about, avatars and, substituting the real person, etc. Maybe these were not even there, but the fact that they are being included in the realm of cyber art, I think, is meaningful. For me, that means that there is not just one way to think about this, that you can still think about this in the more, conventional context of an audience and the artist, or the audience circulating in the middle of the artwork, and still consider it to be very, cutting edge, very modern, and just to reflect on the overall experience that the audience has and what the artist wants to say. So that was what I tried, some examples that I tried to show in different areas. And of course, I had more case studies in the document that I uploaded before, but just this one seemed to me the better one, so to demonstrate with some images and with some videos. So I don't know if you, as I couldn't be here yesterday with you, I don't know if you had some comments, some questions, if you think it was completely relevant, etc. So I'm happy to hear any comment that you have.
I was just going to say that this kind of understanding is perhaps even when you're talking about installations and things like that, because perhaps now more than at any time, you have to be, or don't have to be, but you can choose to be inclusive of all aspects of the environment, like Raffaele was saying. the role of the audience is forever increasing. The dynamics between what has always been, separate in the concert hall, the production of music, the performance of music, and the reception of music seems to be coming all together. So I think it is very important that we look at things and think about them in a different way, so that you can actually bring these things together and not keep them separate, because everything is seems to be moving in that direction. It's also important at the same time to not lose artistic value for the sake of, having this amalgamation. And I think that's a very tricky thing. That's a very, very tricky thing. But yeah, no, I agree 100% that I was actually, when I saw your, the first thing that came to mind was the Philips Pavilion. When was that? Like in the 1950s, where you had, the first multimedia things. And I thought, yeah, no, it would be very good that we think not just as one person, not just as one leg of the stool, but as all three legs at the same time. So yeah, I agree 100%.
Paolo, maybe it's not in the theme, but during one of last conversation with Payam, I just told you that dealing with gender problems in our project was too much. Now I'm thinking again about this topic, and I think we are facing probably a new gender gap problem, because all these things are obviously technology based. So generally speaking, girls, young girls, women are not educated to use technology generally. I see, for instance, my daughters, one is technology wise, the second not. So maybe we are losing a part of our audience because many women are not technology wise, and all these things go through technology. Do you think this is a real problem, or I'm just imagining things?
I cannot think of a time where women have actually occupied the level of the space that they occupy right now. Any time before this, I teach, as you do, the youngest generation, and they are, I have to say, very, very different to us. I'm 2 generations, 3 whatever behind. I don't think so. I think in terms of usage of technology, I don't think we really will lose anybody, because generically speaking, of course, I'm generalizing, the users are ignorant of the technology itself. I mean, we all use stuff, we use our telephone to do whatever it is that we're going to do, but we have no earthly idea how any of that works. And it's when technology becomes easy to work, then everybody uses it. I don't think we will lose women at all. I mean, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Maybe Michelangelo and Paolo, I can say two little words about that, because I if you remember, in Malmo, we were, let's say, charged with expanding a little bit on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and I was, let's say, I was expanding a little bit on the gender equality, just writing a couple of paragraphs there, and I think, again, the problem is that these are what we are looking towards the future. So it's very difficult to imagine how this scenario might fit with gender equality. And when it comes to technology, I think, again, there is this, let's say, presupposition that technology is gender neutral and therefore it should have no impact, etc. But I mean, when you start to read something about this topic, I open now this PDF that I wrote, and I wrote down that specifically in tech and AI fields, women are underemployed and underrepresented. And according to the World Economic Forum, more than 3/4, 78% of professionals in this field are men. Less than a quarter, 22, are women. And more generally speaking, as Michelangelo was saying, women have less education to technology, fewer digital skills, and maybe most importantly, reduced ownership of devices and less presence on online platforms. And then you can go into the problem of cyber harassment and bullying, which is another issue. So I cannot imagine one topic, in a society that doesn't have implications on gender, and so this is, I don't know how to tackle this, to be honest. I think we just need to be aware of this and to be inclusive in whichever training activities we do, to keep this in mind. Might not be specifically the case in our countries, but these are general comments from, United Nations and the World Economic Forum. So maybe something just to take in mind.
Thank you. I was just bringing the experience of my little daughter. She's studying engineering, and sometimes she writes me, I'm in a room, I'm the all woman in all the class, and there are 79 men, and she is the only one, and she is literally embarrassed because she feels like, oh my God, what's going on here? And really, this is a proportion. One woman, of course, this is an engineer class, so it's not the normal technology, the everyday technology. One woman and 79 men.
I think Maria was writing a very interesting post on the chat, because she says that she's part of a female laptop orchestra, and this topic is exactly what we are talking about the involvement of women in music and technology. So perhaps if Maria wants to give us her experience, I don't know if she's available, but in any case, it's very interesting.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm available. Yes. By the way, that's a very interesting conversation. I'm a physicist as my training, so I'm also in a field which is like more male dominated. By the way, this ensemble is all women, and we have each one of us as a double training in science and in music. So some of us are computer scientists or engineer. So that's the idea. This is quite interesting because sometimes we perform usually remotely to festivals and so on. And actually there are so many women in this field. The thing is that, for example, when there is a concert, like a classical concert, you don't see, for example, any music written by a woman composer, just very little, very few of them. So actually there are women composers, there are women improvisers, there are women scientists, there are that many. Not only in our group, but they don't come to my mind right now, but there are really that many. And even though there are more males in the field, but still there are females. Maybe it's necessary to talk more about that. And it's quite also a very nice experience to perform women improvisation, sometimes based on videos, which are produced and made by other components of the group, which are based in Japan mostly. Some other times we have also improvised videos, like made with some coding. Other times we just pick up a theme or an idea and we make this performance. Sometimes recording and editing, other times real-time improvisation. So, and by the way, if you're interested, you can Google the Female Laptop Orchestra. There's several recordings and quite detailed blog with information about our work. Thank you for asking me.
Maria, sorry, do you have a website or something that you can post on the chat?
Yes. Let me open with the laptop, so it's quite a bit easier to grab it. Yeah, just a second, we do that.
Thank you.
It's nice, this discussion about gender. Again, not to be provocative, but we discussed last time, maybe you remember, so about the gender definition on the cyber, on the digital dimension. I think that is something that the gender will...
Thanks, Graham.
Can I go? It seems that for me, at least, the genders is something, is a topic that will be totally, how can I say, deleted from our discussion, because in the digital cyber dimension, it seems the sexual, the sex of the protagonist is not so relevant. I don't know if there will be avatar robots in the future, but I not immediately link the sex to a robot, for instance, to an avatar, to a digital product. So it seems that also the definition of genders now is very, very quick. There are different genders, not only male and female, many others. So it's something that the digital transposition, let's say, can help to overcome it. So it seems that in the future, maybe the definition of gender, it will be not so strict. Things, I think, they will be changed right. Maybe, as I said, a new kind of mankind, it's at the doors, in a way. I have a question for Yassin. Yassin, are you there?
I am here.
So listening, also watching your very interesting presentation, I was impressed. I was impressed by one dimension of your presentation. If I don't know if I'm wrong, the ethical dimension. When you talked about our responsibility for the future, about the ethical approach for future generation, I suppose. If you can just a bit go in depth to this concept of the ethical responsibility of the use of the technology in this sense. Thank you.
I couldn't hear the last. I couldn't hear the last sentence as you mentioned.
Yes, yesterday in your presentation, I was impressed by the ethical dimension when you talked about the responsibility of the use of new technology, I suppose for the new generation, because of linked to the teaching approach, learning approach. If you can just say something more about this.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's a good opportunity for our learners, especially immersive technologies, create a new world for our learners, which we couldn't design in our classrooms or design in our universities. So we can use this kind of technology, especially with the open source solutions. There are lots of opportunities without paying any extra effort. We can create this kind of environments or this kind of collaborations using these technologies. in our research center, we are trying to find some solutions with experimenting different subjects. Music also can be a good opportunity for us. And thanks, Paulo, help us. We are planning a new opportunity for our courses using these immersive technologies. Maybe Paulo can help me.
Oh, I told everybody that we have intention of designing the new solfege course using the technologies that we have here, and that we can, even though it's not part of the project, we can actually show what we are capable of doing with the means that we have.
Thank you, Paulo.
Sorry, Paolo. Why did you start from solfege? Because of the new generation? Because all of the students has to start from the solfege because it's obligatory passage in our training?
No, the reason why I thought solfege was a good idea, because I've already done long distance pre-recorded courses on music history and the history of opera. But those are relatively easy to do because they are static. There is no participation. The challenge with the solfege is that you have active participation of everybody all the time. There is only just a little theoretical stuff, and most of it is just practice. And there is a lot of exchange, so that it just has a lot more interaction. And even though it's not a concert, it gives the possibility of showing what is possible in exchange between teacher and student, between student and student, and so forth and so on. And you have everything. You have singing, you have piano playing, just there's lots of things that can happen. And solfege classes, unlike other classes like history or theory, are not, those are always the same. Solfege is, you never know what's going to happen between one class and another. So there is also the unpredictability of it all, which is also really nice too. So you're dealing with a lot of things when you're doing solfege that with other subjects you're really not doing. And there's lots of people. You could actually do the same with piano lessons or violin lessons, which would be really nice. But there is, there's no number. There's just 2 people. With solfege, you got a lot of people.
Thank you.
Yanis is here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry, Yanis, we didn't see you before.
what is? I'm hearing what you say and also writing, because I'm trying to materialize at the moment. I don't know if it's the right moment now to explain what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the specs ready for the repository, and our conversation yesterday and the presentations were very enlightening in terms of what everybody needs. So if I may recap, I have a text here that I can read about the functionality. Rafael, is this the right time to do that now? To describe what functionality we would like to have from the repository?
Please.
We cannot hear you, Rafael. Your microphone.
Yes, just briefly, you can just.
Okay, excellent. So what we're trying to describe here is that we need a repository that somebody can use in order to create. In fact, I'm trying to speak literally, courses or a teaching procedure that involves technology and all the things, all the aspects that we discussed. So the way to do this is that when I'm talking about courses, I'm talking about the way that we describe the courses at the university using the Bologna Convention, that we have a course that separates into special modules, and then each module has got some information below it and how it is done, and all the information regarding the teaching. But also here, we're going to introduce the different technologies and the infrastructure that is needed to implement that. So if you want to teach something, you should be able to either describe a small module of how you do something, like a small case study, but also you can describe a wider notion of a learning outcome that can help you. Sorry for this. So calling me. And also you can describe a greater structure where this course can go. And this helps us in two ways. One, we can think of a process that we can enter it into the system, or we can design a whole course experience from the top, like a methodology, that we can go down and materialize it and say that for this subject, we're going to teach it in such a way with these technologies at this space, with these technicians, with this material and methods. So is this exactly what we're talking and we need in terms of a project? I'm asking also Rafael and Payam and anybody who.
Also, if you can say some words about the methodology, Yanis, because it's very interesting, you know, the meta methodology inside the repository, not only the taxonomy, but the way to build the taxonomy.
Okay, I was thinking to have we can have different types of taxonomies in a repository. We can use what we have already. For example, if you are talking about computer science, there are already taxonomies that are being used. So, but I don't think we need to use a very strict taxonomy like the ACM, the Academic Computing Machinery taxonomy of subjects and things like that, because it is very limiting. It's designed for a computer science part, where you have a different type of taxonomy here. Is how you use the technology. For example, virtual reality can be used for, you can have it on a metaverse, you can have it, VR is also the 360 VR, so you need to break it down into specifics, and you're going to see if this works for a specific type of content. So I think we need to create our own taxonomy for this kind of purpose.
Thank you.
Do you agree on that? Is it something acceptable by the group?
For me, yes.
Okay. So I'll simply describe the way I think about it. Tell me if you agree or not, or what you would like to change. We're going to have some structural elements that we're going to use in the repository. The structural elements describe technologies, describe the content separately, and describe also the infrastructure and the methodology, the method that is being used to teach, for example, in this case. And this we can combine into every case study that we make in order to describe it, but these elements will be free and available for somebody to use and combine together in new uses. So let's say that we have the cello experiment of yesterday, and you want to teach a different score, then you will be able to change the score and say that, yes, we have tried this, or we can teach this type of score as well with this technology. Or if something else appears that is better than the 360 VR and it's faster, then we can replace that technology directly, and we can do exactly the same process as it is. So we have the ability to pick and mix and post our solutions to the implementation. If something is missing, like a new technology arrives, then we can add it to the repository and create our case study. So we're going to have an analytic directory of the technologies, an analytic directory of all the content that has been taught, and the availability of technologies and supporting technologies like networks and all the infrastructure that is needed to teach something. So this is the way that I think we should proceed. And then from that point onward, we have meta information that we can combine it through the repository in the way that we like. So we can combine it into a bigger courses. The idea of the repository would be to create a course that is described down to the last piece of technology, content, and method that is going to be used. Is that acceptable by everyone?
Thank you so much. Yes.
It's
Okay.
ambitious, but fantastic.
Excellent. So we make a demo in the next weeks and we post it to you. I'm going to post we're going to put some sample data. This is why we send Yanni to send all the information out, so that we will have also the information of infrastructure. So we create the repository, we put some example data in there, and we try to fix an exemplar course that describes how this works. And then we can adjust it according to your needs. And then you can start entering the information for everyone for their institutions. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So everyone, the agenda says we can take a short break if you like, and then briefly after that come back for evaluation, and then we can stop the meeting if it's okay. Raffaele, what do you think?
Yes. Okay. Nice.
Okay.
So we'll take a break and then see you at in half an hour.
Okay.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thank
See you
See you
then.
soon.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Nice. Yeah. You're prettier than me. Yeah.
Sen de kaldın değil mi canım?
We need more women participation.
Yeah, exactly.
Gender equality.
Hi, Yanis. Can you hear us?
Of course,
Good.
yes. Do you know Nana Muscuri?
Sorry?
Yes.
What?
You know the story.
Yes, of course. Are you listening to her?
No, not so much. But with these glasses, you are looking very similar
Ah.
with Nana Muscuri.
Yeah, true. True. So if everyone is here, shall we start? We were just discussing a few things during the break that I would like to open up our final evaluation conversation, let's say, with these ideas. Efsa, who is sitting right next to me, she's basically everything of our project. She's the hero behind all the things that she's doing great things with us. She's one of our team members, and she's also responsible for the website of our EU project office department with all the projects that the Yaşar University is running. She was saying that she posted Musense project that I sent the link on the chat. Let's see if I can show you here. Değil mi? Bu görünmüyor. Hı. Hold on. Evet. You are screen sharing. Evet. Nerede? İnce olarak aşağı atabilirsiniz Chrome'la. Niye görünmüyor çünkü? Yukarıdaki sekmeler. Paula, do you know how to do that?
Just click on the link and just drag it up. Share your screen. I cannot drag that up. It's on there, just drag it up. There you go. And then share that.
Oh.
Just make it full screen. Voila.
Can you see this?
No, you haven't shared
Screen
it.
share. Yapın.
You have to share it.
No.
Coming.
Hangisi?
Your computer screen. It should be your computer screen.
Normal screen'e seçin. Atarız onu yukarı. Nerede screen? Şuradan.
There you go.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so this is just the project information briefly. When you go on our EU project website of the university, you can see all the projects here, the proceeding one, completed ones, publications, and then finally about Musense, and then the website and the practical information and partners and so on. So my suggestion is, I'm sure most of our partners probably doing the same with your institutional websites. I'm just asking if we are all on the same page, because I fear that maybe we lack a bit of disseminating our project. AEC is helping us, of course, through their website and with all the events they're organizing. But I'm having hard time, Yannis, reaching to our Musense website. For some reason, I cannot click on the link and then it doesn't open easily. It just gives me errors of protection and privacy and so on. So I don't know if we can find a way that it's easily reachable.
Yes, it's the SSL certificate. We're trying to fix that. It will be fixed in a few hours, I think, or a day.
This is something that came up very, very recently. I mean, for 2 or 3 days, because I'm visiting the website pretty often, and that was it was not a problem till recently, till 2 or 3 days or something. We will fix it during the day, I hope. Or if not, then till tomorrow it will be fixed.
That's fine. It's not, I'm sure in a few days it's okay, but I think it's been almost 1 year that our project is running, and it's nice to be able to, I think, also add social media help. At least this is what I think. We can use Twitter, we can use Instagram, LinkedIn. I think besides the website, because also especially for young generations, since this is also what's one of our outcomes of the project, to reach out to students and coming up with the new teaching tools to get their awareness, to raise their awareness of what's going on. And there is such a project, and then especially Yannis, the other Yannis, when the repository is available, once we have the infrastructure and it's running, I think it's also all partners' responsibility to contribute on regular basis to make the repository as rich as we can, so that through the website it's easily accessible and available for everyone. We don't need to wait for the project to be over. I think since we have 2 more years, we can start organizing some different ways. Like EFSA was telling me, which is a great idea, that she said maybe it would help to form a dissemination team through the partners. Like we can choose one responsible person from each partner and form a dissemination team, so that they can meet on regular basis and then maybe report back of what's been going on, or what we can do for the future. At least some kind of projection or plans for the future. I'm sure all the partners are working on their tasks and doing for different outcomes, but it seems like maybe we can, Raffaele, I don't know what you think, but we can be a bit more, not that we're not organized, but I'm just saying that I think the project should be more visible, or at least what we've been doing so far. Like a functioning website and more social media, news, and so on.
Yes, usually the dissemination part, as you know, is the most is the more fragile, no? The more weakness part of the project. Of course, we are the AEC that is doing the great job on disseminating promoting the project results up to now. Of course, each partner should do a big effort, more big effort to promoting the project. But I know it's not easy because we have lots of inputs every day about several projects, several activities. We don't have actually the social media pages. As far as I know, we don't create yet the Facebook and the LinkedIn and the Twitter page. Maybe it's something that we can make in the future weeks. So of course, but after Lyon, there have been 2 articles written by the post by you and Nuno. Also an article, let's say a scientific academic article by Nuno. I asked him to post also the link to our cloud. Of course, the dissemination is something that has to be enhanced. Of course, we are also at the beginning of the project. So it starts up to now, so maybe during the second day, especially during the third day, will be devoted to the disseminating the real results that we will achieve.
Yeah, well, Sarah also from AEC now wrote on the chat, I agree with her that I think we all partners should be promoting our project, of course, on our website.
It's more and more likely that we achieve results. Of course, it will be easier also to disseminate. At the moment, there are not so many results to disseminate, to be honest. We're at the beginning of the path of the journey. Let's say this our scientific artistic journey. So that's why one of the reasons that the dissemination has not been so high so up to now. We don't have so many contents. But in the future months, from February, March, we'll have much more outputs to be popularized.
Yes, maybe I can say just one word for the conservatory in Brussels. We in the last month I was able to push the communications team, because it's a small team, for them to implement, and now we have this information on our website of the conservatory. So there is a menu there about us, and then international projects, and their Musense is actually the first one. Then you can, I posted the links on the chat now. You can click on Musense and it opens, 3 paragraphs of descriptions, and it tells about the next events. So we were promoting the multiplier there, and posting the flyer that we got from Yashar. And then we are also posting on the news webpage when me and Payam did the dissemination in the AEC Congress in Lyon, we put the posts there, and through social media on the conservatory's webpage. So it's this part is being done already, maybe not as detailed as you are doing in Yashar, because it really looks very nice with a lot of information, but as a kind of introduction. And in any case, people can always contact me if they want to know more about the project.
Thanks, Nuno. That's great. I'm sure all of us have seen AEC, our Musense project link on AEC's website. If not, please take a look. I think Sarah can share it with us on the chat right now. AEC has a nice part of our project on their website, as always, as a partner. As one of our partners, they always share all the news and updates and the upcoming events, but it's not enough. I think we need to be on the same page. For example, the Lyon, when me and Nuno, we presented our project to all directors and the deans of all the conservatoires through AEC. That was a big thing, and we did disseminate also our survey. So for example, that should be also visible, like this and this and this took place in Lyon in this time, or the multiplier event took place in Izmir Yaşar University at this time. Like, we should also always update and put what happened and what will happen in March once we have the dates for Brussels for teacher training, the upcoming event, and the link for the registration, and the content, and then the registration is free to attend, and so on. And also the survey, it's very helpful to disseminate the link to the survey. We have a short video of the survey that I think we can resend it to you again, that you can put the link and for people to watch, to stimulate to fill up the survey. And like I said, also for the Musense website, once it's smoothly running, hopefully, we can put all this information. So for all the events that took
You
place.
can already put this information, but somebody has to put it on.
Sorry?
So if you have it ready, if you have ready the information, the site is working. You can directly put it on. So ask me for instructions, and we can directly enable you the administration part for your site. You can set up all the meeting. So you can post actually.
No,
Do you want
it's not,
instructions?
I don't mean like we should post on the website. I think it should be different sections on the website for.
Yes, but in order to make the section, somebody has to tell us what to do, because we made a basic website, we communicated with everybody, and then we need now to have information. So if you need a section, send us a mail and we make the section. It's easy.
Well,
To be honest, isn't sorry,
Yes.
aren't you just going to like make the website with your own criteria without us telling you?
The website was made at the previous meeting. It was presented how it works. So
Right.
at the moment, what we need is your feedback and content, because we're not going to post your content. You're going to be able to put your own content, and this is the most important thing. So if something you don't, there's not something you want to change, we can send us an email and we can change it directly.
no,
There's
thank
no
you.
point.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's just that, for example, we can also share example of a website like the Omega project we did years ago. For example, I think we did show it before as an example. Like it's not a lot of information, but also just one thing for events or the meetings or photos or upcoming events and just some up-to-date things, just to.
Yes, it's important that everybody does that from the consortium, so that this will be a live ecosystem of information.
But Yanis, if I understood correctly, you will send us a kind of way for us to log in and to be able to edit the content, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
There is
Okay.
I can send it after the meeting, okay?
Okay, great, thank you. And Payam, just one question about the surveys. Is it still open to submissions, let's say? Can we still? Okay, very well.
Of course, yes, of course. Yeah. And Yasin is here also. I don't know if he wants to say something. Unfortunately, in Lyon, we had to do it manually. We did bring printout papers and walked around a bunch of rectors and deans and made them fill it up with pens. And it was kind of funny and I guess hopefully helpful. But that's not, of course, the way it should be. And then it's online and it's difficult to find people to go and fill it up. But I think it's also our task to try to disseminate and send to people as much people as we can, or find people.
But thanks to EFSA, because she digitalized all of these surveys for us.
Michelangelo, sorry, we are okay. Yasin just sent it, the link of the survey. Thanks, Yasin.
You're welcome.
Sarah, do you want to say something about dissemination or anything that you would like to add or?
No, not especially, but yeah, invite all partners to go on the EC page, as you said. All the information are there, and also we always publish a newsletter with the news, and in January we will share what happened these 2 days for the Multilier events. And yeah, and we will continue have sessions at the EC events about Musense in the coming months.
Yeah, we will be sharing the photos and the list of participants and what happened during these 2 days. We can update the information on Musense website and then our own websites, and hopefully we'll put the video, the 2 days of recording of the Zoom on YouTube, and then hopefully when it's ready we can send the link of the YouTube for people who would like to listen to the presentations. So
that's great. Yeah.
If anybody else would like to say something?
Payam, we had the same problems with Opera Out of Opera online, we call it questionnaire. And I solved the problem actually as you did. We printed it, and during my, I don't know, lessons, meetings, and I collected a lot of them printed. So as paradox is much more easy to collect them physically than going online, in my experience.
I also have that feeling, honestly, that it's easier to have printed and then to pass it to people that you meet even, and then actually convince them to spend 15 minutes on the computer. But of course, I mean, this anyway, that's a question. Maybe, yeah, it's amazing. That shows you something.
This is a nice
digitization.
approach. No, this is a nice approach, the traditional one, for a project that the ambitious is to be digital, to be cyber dimension, just to come back at the traditional approach, very old-fashioned with the paper.
That's true.
Think to Amazonia also, Michelangelo, because we have to dematerialize.
Yes, I know, but I always
You can imagine 8,000 of people I see in the AC radar printing out the papers and so on. Poor Amazonia.
Yes, you are right.
In this way, we collect the questionnaires, and with just a link, it's so people maybe don't bother. If
I remember Naples in the AC International Relations Coordinator. We talked about the dematerialization process, save the planet, save Amazonia, not printing out so many papers. So.
No, but
okay, but of course the dissemination is a very complex stuff. Maybe it's an internal issue, not so interesting also for the public, for the larger audience. We'll face it during our next meeting. But of course, there is a strategy behind the dissemination. I disagree on the fact that something has to be disseminated because it has to be disseminated. Sometimes I don't feel the need that something or some result has to be disseminated, to be honest, to speak frankly. So the strategy is much more important to be visible, because being visible to be visible for me doesn't make so much sense anyway. Okay, but this is something that we'll discuss in our internal meeting. So about the mission.
And no, I just, sorry to jump in, I use this kind of technique. I approach people with a pen and the printed questionnaire, and I ask with a very serious face, did you fill in the questionnaire? And so they feel guilty, and I say, please do it now. And so I collected 100 of them in just in 1 week, and is a psychological technique.
No, Michelangelo, is exactly the same thing we did in Lyon. It was really funny because I was like a police, like Peter was saying this morning, Baruch police. I was the survey police going around to people with the pen, and then they were taking it very seriously. And some of them were scared. They said, Payam, I will give it to you tomorrow. Sorry, I couldn't finish it, but you know. And then we did collect a lot of them, but of course, not not very professional in a way.
In our case, as we decided in Malmo, also, Yasin should remember that the quality of answer is much more important than the quantity of answers. It's a kind of project that the quality of the answers, maybe for that it's a bit tougher than other project, is much more important to collect and accrue quantitative data. That's was another reason that the survey could be a bit complex for some answer, because the quality of answers is prevalent. In our case, define models and mindset and so on. You know, each project is collecting surveys. Nothing now involved in 11 projects, only as coordinator, but even as partner. All projects are collecting surveys, data, answer questions, and so it's a huge impact of the surveys at the moment. Because of course, it's the first moment to scan the scenario, to scan the state of play. Okay, it seems that we are almost at the end of the meeting, no, Payam?
Yes, I guess we can just have any questions, remarks as a final word.
I would have a question because, of course, I'm an interested party to this. I would like to know when we will have maybe a group meeting to discuss more in detail about the events that we are doing in March. So end of February, beginning of March in Brussels, to have a clear picture, who is coming, who is presenting, what it is that we are proposing to do here, so that we have some time in advance then to promote it also, again, with the dissemination part, that we make sure that it's a successful event with, you know, guest speakers maybe, etc. So just to know if there is some kind of a timeline for that. I don't know, Rafael, if you can enlighten a little bit.
I'm not sure, but there is one para that would like to add something. Right, Payam?
Yeah, sorry. So no one is gonna, can I jump in? Hi.
Yes.
I'm really, well, first I want to apologize for being late this morning. It was, I had to push life out of the way. I just wanted to thank you for your presentations yesterday and what I could catch from today. And if I may, I want to give a couple of observations as an outsider. So I'm not a partner or anything. And that's one of the first things that was interesting maybe for you to know is how I found out about this meeting, because it seems like a multiplier event from Erasmus Plus seems to be at the core a moment for exchange between the partners, no, to catch up and to evaluate each other. And I think that that was, to me, what was happening during this day and a half. And in that respect, since I found of this event as a public event that I could join, I think that something needs to be done in terms of the curatorial quality of what you're presenting to the outside world as findings of your project so far. If I may be very blunt and very critical, because I think that I have an opinion that is somewhat valid, especially in this field, the cognitive dissonance between the claims of what the project wants to do, the focus of where the project needs to make the difference, which is in higher music education, and the case studies that were presented so far, they don't really connect. They might connect as a starting thing, they might be experiences that you're having, but there's no clear connection between the other than the technical, the framework, the infrastructure and all that, which is necessary for a project to run. But let's say the case studies that were presented, since they didn't have they didn't expose the impact that these things should have from your project into the institutions at large. So if you present a case study of a gizmo or a piece of technology, that case study after year one of your project should have been something that was disseminated through the partners and was beta tested from all of you and was chosen because of the pros and cons in comparison with other technologies. Just to put a blunt example, that is one thing. The other thing, as a comment from this last discussion in terms of dissemination and promotion and visibilization of the project at large, I think that it will be very important, and I take the words of Mr. Longo at heart, in the sense that the dissemination for the sake of dissemination could be a hinder more than a benefit. I will suggest, for example, because this is a Europeanly funded project, to get in contact with GEANT and with the NPAPW, the Network Performing Arts Production Workshop, which is for something that is quite relevant to the field of what you're working on. It's not the only thing, but it's a well-established, robust, European-funded network of institutions that are dealing with telematics, with internet communication in the performing arts. And they have yearly meetings, and they have a network of institutions that can both provide support and show help you focus that what you're doing is transferring this into the training and practices inside of the conservatoires in Europe. Another partner that you should look into is the NowNet Arts. That is an initiative from Stony Brook in New York, and that is an international consortium. Orpheus Institute, which I'm representing today, they are co-hosts. It's a yearly conference. They have training courses. They are partners of the Jack Tripp Foundation, which is the most established piece of technology that is available for these kind of things. And the Zurich University of the Arts partnered recently. And I think that in terms of dissemination of visibilization, you have to do inter-project, inter-institutional groundwork that I still see that is missing. And I can completely understand how difficult it is to find a point of connection between different institutions with different needs and interests. But I think that from an outsider, the point was a little bit missed in terms of the impact of this in the education part. And I think that is the uniqueness of the project in comparison with all these other initiatives that I mentioned before. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
So thanks, Juan. May I ask you which institution you represent?
Yes, I am a research fellow here at the Orpheus Institute in Ghent. I'm also the European director.
I didn't hear. Can you say it again?
Orpheus, ORPHEUS in Ghent in Belgium. I'm also the European director of the International Computer Music Association. I'm also the dissemination and publication coordinator of that institution. And I'm on a personal level as a researcher, I'm an expert in telematics and in reconstruction of performance practices of electronic music from the 50s and the 60s. That's my area of expertise.
Yeah, thank you very much for your feedback. We will definitely consider all the useful suggestions. And I assume that you've been also experienced in European projects, or not really?
Yes, I was the postdoctoral researcher on a ERC starting grant for 5 years, and I also the technical coordinator of every project that takes place here at Orpheus, and we have quite a few coming and going.
Can you post your site email references, please?
Oh, yes, I'll put it in the chat. Thanks.
Okay. Any more comments? Raffaele, would you like to say a final remarks before we say goodbye?
Just to add something to the reflection, some interesting of Juan. Juan, this is, I have to repeat, this is a visionary project. It's a totally research-based oriented. So nobody knows at the beginning. It's not 1 year. We have to be honest. The project started 6 months ago because because for the COVID reasons, the first result, just the preliminary result, over the last 2 months. This is a totally research approach. As you said, you are experienced with the ERS. I'm an evaluator for the Commission for Horizon program. As you know, at the beginning of the research, a totally driven curiosity, nobody knows the final results. Of course, it's something, the real purpose of the project is to link the results of the research to the educational parts, to educational didactical offer. But at the moment, we are in the pipeline of the still preliminary research. So maybe during the next year, during the second year, at the end of the second year, something will be much clearer than that, especially how to link the research, the hard results of the research, technological oriented, to the didactical dimension, the music aggregate institution. This is the challenge. Because if our purpose, visionary purpose, is to build, to design the performance space for the future, the next 30 years, is something of our ethical concern, how to transfer, maybe how to better, how to share with the future artists, with the actual students, the results of our research. And I'm aware that I'm perfectly aware that it's not such an easy matter just to be transferred to students, because it implies many skills, different competencies, interdisciplinary abilities. It will be not easy also to design the course module that will be the core of the project start number 3. That it will be the arena where to experiment the first result of the project. But it will be not easy at all, just to, because there will be lots of inputs, many competencies for different fields, and all in all, we are, let's say, building musicians, no technician, no scientists. It will be the real challenge how to integrate the different competencies into the music ones. Of course, Maria is a physicist, not only a musician, but our students, the majority of them are only musicians, let's say, with different competencies. Our first mission is to build artists for the future. That's all.
If I may reply, I totally understand, and I think I agree. But the bigger the ambition, the more groundwork has to be done. And it's just a little troubling, and that's why, I mean, I have no beef in this situation. So, but I care about this thing, and I think that one of the main issues is that, for example, is Nuno. I was quite happy about the recorded presentation yesterday, and I got in contact with Jan. I'm a colleague of Jan Michiels, and we played together, and I was and I think that there are certain concerns that in the sense of the discourse of the cyber space and the metaverse is something that needs to be introduced into higher education. But on the flip side, Rafael, I also think that being mid-December, and if there's the next event that you are going to organize and will probably be open to staff of conservatories, and if I don't see the list of topics and expertise before Christmas, and we all know how Christmas work in these parts of the world, then I find it a little, it's a challenge to claim that you're building things for the future for 30, 50 years, but there are in 3 months the groundwork has to be. I will expect it to be more defined than what it is at the moment. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't see where the expertise is going to come from, or what is the expertise targeted towards for a 1 or 2 day event in Brussels, where I will be encouraged to send my colleagues that are not digitally literate, the musicians, to learn skills that I don't want to spend time teaching.
Yes, it's nice, but it's not an event open up to the external one. The first learning activities one is for internal partners. It's not open up to external ones. We can think about to launch an external call, but it's difficult. Also, it's the first beneficiaries will be the internal teacher and staff and students of the partner. So it's not open to the external institution.
I understand, but my comment still stands.
It's not a public event, so in this way.
Okay. So I guess I know it's very early for you. It's almost lunchtime here. Thank you for your participation and your positive feedback and your ideas and contribution and hard work. And Raffaele, the next meeting, I'm sure we will discuss through emails when we will all meet. If no one wants to add something, I think I will go ahead and end the meeting.
See you next year in Corfu.
Yeah.
In September, October, in 1 year, we'll have much more to be shared.
So Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy
Yes.
holidays already. And hope you have a good time and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.